What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here with another panel show, and we've got the duo on. We've got the perfect match, Kate and Jimbo. Sim has he's just turned up. He's just turned up right on time. Here comes Sim, but we got Kate and Jimbo in the house. The perfect match. How we doing, Kate? How we doing, Jimbo?
All good, thanks, Ben. I would say how are you both, but Sim's on Sim time today, so I like to say how are you, Ben?
I'm doing great. I mean, just about getting over the Crystal Palace game, looking ahead to the Man City game tomorrow. Big night under the lights at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We have to just put that game to one side and focus on that. But we do have a bit of going over the past to go through. So I guess we should get into it. But Jimbo, before we get into it, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for the invite. I think Sim's been hanging about with Nick too much. Nick's always late.
Nick Barry Collison, Emerson Royale lover Nick, who decides to turn up whenever he likes.
Yeah, he's too busy watching Milan. That's why he's on. Too much Emerson Royale. But Sim's just getting his makeup done. He's getting ready. Here he is. Here he is.
How are we doing, everyone?
Welcome.
Good, thanks.
I thought after Saturday's loss, I'd try and give this one a miss, but unfortunately, I made it in time.
Unfortunate for you. Kate was about to put you in detention, apparently.
Wouldn't be the first time. Put it that way. How are we doing, though? We're right, Kate? Nice to see you, Jimbo.
Yeah, good,
all
thanks,
good,
Sim.
thanks. Yeah, nice to see you too, Sim.
Nice to meet you, Sim. First time I spoke to you.
Yeah, first time, but I've seen you be on the channel a few times now, contributing to the pump up. So big up to you, Jimbo.
Thank you.
But yeah, look, it's not been a great few days, has it?
It has not indeed. I guess we'll get straight into it. We're going to be talking about our away form because obviously it's been highlighted that I think that we've got 4 away wins in the last 12 months, I think it is the stat, which is obviously nowhere near good enough. The majority of those coming against 10 men as well. We'll start off with you, Kate. Why do you think that is so bad? Why is our away form so bad when, for the most part, I think me and Sim, I don't know if you guys agree, but we think Ange is the right man for the job. We're going in the right direction. But why is that away? Why can't we seem to get over that away hurdle?
Do you know what? You asked me a question last time I was on here, and I said I wish I knew the answer, and I'm going to say the same thing, because if I knew the answer, I would write to Ange Postecoglou and tell him exactly why. But I literally have no idea. I mean, I'm with you. I think Ange is the right man for the job. I can see the progress. I can see what he's trying to do. I don't think we've played particularly bad for the majority of the season. Obviously, Coventry, the second half of Brighton and the Crystal Palace game are exceptions. But I just don't know why. I mean, if you look back over the years, our away form has never been particularly brilliant. But, I mean, this away form is diabolical. And even going to grounds like Selhurst Park, where we've sort of historically always done well there, apart from the odd shock results. Go there and just be dominated, and literally it was like we didn't even turn up. It was embarrassing, really. So I just don't know what it is. You can't even say fatigue, because the players that started at the Palace game weren't the ones that started in Europe. So I think it's the $1 million question. I think if we all knew the answer, we'd feel better about it. But the fact that we don't know is what's so frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm perplexed to it as well. I have no idea why these results and performances keep coming around. But Jimbo, it's like it's almost like easier to take when you lose in the fashion that we drew against Leicester and Newcastle, where we put in good performances, but we just didn't get over the line. We didn't put the ball in the back of the net. But when the performances like the second half against Brighton come, and then the Crystal Palace performance come, and then we obviously deservedly lose, I mean, it's really hard to take, and it's hard to put your finger on it, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. I don't. the Brighton one, absolutely. I was just lost. I just couldn't get my head around how they come out and was just a completely different team. But I think the Crystal Palace one, Ben, I think the Palace just from the beginning, they dominated us, closed us down. There was every time we got the ball, there was 3 players on the person. We were mispassing because they were closing down so quick. I just think they couldn't get to grips with the way Palace set up. And even in the second half, it was the same. So I think we've got to give Palace a bit more credit than give Tottenham a slaughtering, because I thought Palace played really well The way they weren't like didn't play really well. The way they set up and the way they closed us down, and didn't give us a minute on the ball, a second on the ball. So I think we should give them a bit more credit. And look, I said this the other day on our stream, that the pitch was very small, and I'm not blaming the pitch. Don't think I'm making that as an excuse, but with the pitch being a bit smaller and them closing us down so quick, I think we just played straight into their hands.
You know what I noticed as well, but it's a good point you make about the pitch, because not about it being small, but what I noticed being there at the ground, that the pitch was really heavy on the day. I don't know if they watered it heavily down before the game or something, but as every time the ball bounced on the pitch, you could see the water spray up. And maybe that had something to do with, how bad up. Obviously, it was how well Crystal Palace were pressing and how well they were intercepting the ball. But maybe that had a factor in it as well. What do you reckon, Sim?
Well, those are the kind of things you have to deal with when you go away from home. Teams looking for the advantages. That's why home advantage is such a big thing. I think it's probably a bigger thing in football than it is in most other sports, to be honest, because of those advantages. You get the home crowd up. You saw what an important game it was for Crystal Palace. I agree with Jimbo, actually, as well, when he says Palace deserve more credit than people are giving them credit for, because I know they're down in 18th and I know they've been struggling this season and there were no wins their Thursday games, but I think they're a good team. I think if you look at all their games this season, I think apart from one game, all their losses have only been by a goal. They've had some creditable draws. They drew to Chelsea. They only lost when they played Liverpool at Selhurst Park. Could have easily been a different result. Liverpool ended up winning 1-0. They got an early goal and it was a very tight game. So I was expecting a tough game going into it, and I think Palace really upped their game for this one. In fact, they caught us by surprise with a few tactical tweaks, as we've mentioned. They were pressing a lot more aggressively. We mentioned on our match review, if you look at the average positions of their team against Spurs compared to most other weeks, it was a lot higher up, and maybe they were looking to catch Tottenham off guard and looking to disrupt our build-up. The disappointment is, obviously, we didn't find any solutions to that. The changes we made on the half-hour mark, I thought, actually made us worse, not better. Yeah. And that was a big disappointment, and I think he didn't really find the solutions properly. But I said yesterday that I was obviously angry and upset about the result and the performance, but I those kind of games I kind of expect to happen during a season where a team kind of outdoes you tactically and gets the better of you, and you take stock, you try and understand why it happened and not let it happen again. But games like Brighton, when you're 2-0 up and you've got the game in your hands and you're in total control, and then you completely let it slip, you throw away. I'm obviously more angry at those kind of games, because those are games that should be +3. You've earned the result by how you've played, and you've got the better of the opposition, and you've chucked it away out of your own complacency or whatever it is. You've chucked it away, and that's obviously really aggravating. When it comes to obviously the away form in general, it's a difficult one, because I think if you look at a lot of our away performances, I don't think I've got a massive issue with a lot of them. I think, yes, when you go away from home, especially the way we play, obviously teams are going to get chances. Teams are going to have periods where they're getting the better of you. It's hard to have total control of the way we play away from home. I think when we're at home, I think we can do a bit more often because we overwhelm teams. I think when teams are coming away from home, they sit back a bit more, and I think it's easier for us to maybe control the game for longer periods and totally dominate. When it comes to away from home, obviously teams have the extra motivation. They got the home crowd, and the way we play, we're very open. And so when teams who up their game, and if they up their game at home and they play through their press and they up their aggression a bit, they will have more periods where they're getting the better of us. And unfortunately, when we have been on top of the opposition in our periods, we haven't made the most of it, and that's been a big problem. Now, against Palace, it was a different issue. We just didn't turn up at all, and Palace completely had the better of it for most of the game. But if I look at, in general, our home-away performances, in isolation this season, obviously Brighton, we were 2-0 up. Newcastle, we dominated the majority of that game. I know Newcastle had periods, and they take advantage of those periods, and we didn't, but we had longer periods on top of them. Leicester, we should have definitely won that game, and we had long periods on top of them as well. Again, Leicester had a little period when they were on top of us, and they took advantage of it, and we didn't take full advantage of the period when we were on top of them. But I look at that performance and I think we were on top of them for a lot of it. So I don't think performance-wise, it's a massive issue, as much as there are things that need improving, and as much as I think, yes, we're not perfect away from home by any stretch, and obviously that if we can't turn our away form around, that's going to be a big issue. Which Ange, he's going to be put under pressure. He's already under pressure with that away form at the moment. But if I'm just looking this season at our away performances in isolation, I don't have a massive issue with a lot of them.
Yeah, what I would say to that is that you're looking at the away performance this season, and for the most part, I agree with you. They've been fairly good, but when you're looking at it on a whole under Ange Postecoglou with 4 wins in our last 12 months, these recent games against Brighton and Crystal Palace, you're seeing similar traits that we have seen in certain games last season, and take it back to like Fulham away.
But that's the thing. Like I say, Fulham away, maybe even not the Palace games. Obviously, we were outdone Palace. I can agree with that. But like for example, Brighton away, we lost 4-2 last season, right? You can say it's exactly the same this season. We lost 3-2. But last season, we were 4-0 down. We got absolutely trounced, and we were out the game until 10 minutes to go, where we got a couple of consolations. This season was different. We had control. We got the better of them. We were 2-0 up, and unfortunately, we shat the bed in the second half. I know the results are the same, but the context is a bit different. Like, I think there have been improvements in terms of where we're heading in our away performances this season to last season.
But they've regressed. They've regressed over the last 2 away games.
They've regressed. Yeah, look,
massively.
Yeah, look, and that will happen during a season. That will happen during a season. So maybe they'll improve. I don't think progression or regression is a linear line. Like, the performances get. You have 2 bad performances. Oh, the performances are getting worse, and then you'll win another game. Then you can say performances are getting better. But it's not always a linear line. Sometimes it's up and down, especially where we are in our project at the moment. So I don't see that. Of course, you never want to see regression, but unless we're like winning every single away game, you're not going to get progression throughout the whole season, are you? Because unless you're like we drew at Leicester, unless you're like then winning 1-0, then 2-0 and 3-0, then it's not always progression.
All right. Well, you said to me a few days ago, a week ago, that it's so nice every time you turn up to a Tottenham game, you know which Tottenham you're going to get, you know what you're going to see. Mm-hmm. In these last 2 away games, in the second half against Brighton and the 90 minutes against Crystal Palace, we haven't seen that Tottenham. Yeah,
and that's an issue. And that's not good. But does it mean that everything's wrong and we have to throw it all away? No. But
we're not saying that. We're not saying that. I'm just spinning up concerns.
Yeah, there is a concern over the fact that the last 2 away games, especially second half against Brighton in the Palace game, that it hasn't been good. And the Palace we were completely outdone. And Brighton, we had control of the game and we threw it away. Brighton, I would argue we did see the Tottenham we've been in the first half, but obviously in the second half we didn't see that, and we threw out the control that we had. So those are issues that Ange has to sort out 100%. But in between that, we did have a 4-1 win against West Ham. We obviously beat RZ. It wasn't a great game. We beat them 1-0. So, it's not like, we're just taking to the last 2 away games, but there are games in between that where we have done well. So I guess the away form is definitely a concern, but I'm not going overboard just yet in terms of this season in isolation. Yes, you bring in last season and you extrapolate that, then you can say there's a clear issue. But I would say if we're just taking this season in isolation, I'm still calm about the situation, is my point.
You guys calm? Kate, you calm about the situation?
At the moment, I am, yeah. I said to Dave over at the Irish Hotspur, I was talking to him, and I said, I'm not losing my head. With Tottenham fans, a lot of them, it's either everything is terrible or everything is wonderful. There's no balance somewhere in the middle. And I have my doubts with Ange at times. I do flip-flop occasionally, thinking, is he the right
Like all of us, Kate, like all of us.
Exactly. You can only go by what you see. But I just think it is we're only a sort of a season and 9 games into this whole change of philosophy from, being such a defensive side. And let's be fair, when Ange took over, the club was in real disarray. And I think people have just got to give it time. I don't understand what we could achieve by sacking Ange and starting all over again yet, because, the results aren't what we all want. Obviously we want to win every week, but I can see what Ange is trying to do. When you look at Ten Hag, there was no clue what he was trying to do. It was all over the place. But with Ange, you can see what he's trying to do. So, for me, I am quite calm with the situation at the moment. I've always said from the start of the season, I don't really care where we finish in the league. As long as we don't get relegated, I want a cup. That's my thing. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night and how calm I am after that.
So you taking 17th in the Carabao Cup this season?
Maybe not 17th in the Carabao Cup. I'll take 10th in the Carabao Cup, but I'll take 17th in the Europa League.
Fair play. Jimbo, are you kind of seeing what I'm seeing as well, maybe with the Palace game and the second half of the Brighton worrying traits that we did see at some points last season? I mean, I look at the Fulham game as a prime example. I can't remember if there were many others like that, but off the top of my head, but I'm sure there were.
No, I'm not, Ben. I just think to myself, I've watched football, excuse me, for a lot of years. I've supported Spurs for 55 years. I had a season ticket for 25. I've been around football and watched football a lot. Right now, we've got to take you've got to take the whole overall picture, right? To even talk about getting rid of Ange now is just absolutely ludicrous to me. It really is.
I don't think anyone's talking. I mean, no one on this panel is talking about that.
No,
anyway.
not this panel. No, not this panel. But to talk about getting rid of Ange to me is absolutely ludicrous. He's had a season of 9 games, right? If you look at what managers ever walked into a club in the Premier League and hit the ground running?
Arnie Slot.
Maresca.
Yeah.
I can name one. Ange.
Yeah, Ange.
Nuno.
There's going to be. But what I'm talking about is over
a period of time.
Yeah, over the first season, over the second season, it's very, very rare. You've got to give managers time. He walked into Tottenham, guys, and we was a mess, an absolute mess. Not just the football team, but behind the scenes as well. And it's going to take time to sort that out. You know, we need to take a step back and just calm down a little bit. There's going to be losses on the way. We have to accept that, you know. And if you look at the history of other clubs when they've had managers come in, Pep, the Liverpool guy, what's his name? The one that's gone, Klopp. It's what happens in football. We need to give them time to sort it out. You know, he's got players in there. Look, we got Timo. You know, I'm not going to slag him down. That's not my way to do that, but he's not good enough for this team. So they need to get rid of him again. Why they ever brought him back, I don't know. But there's a few players in there he needs to change around and get some new players in over the next couple of windows. I think we just need to be a little bit calm, right, and enjoy the games we do win. And when we lose, all right, we can critique, but not go overboard. You know,
when do you think is a fair time to assess the judgment then on the people that are running out of patience with Ange?
Well, I think 2 more windows. I think 2 more windows. Look, this season is a big season. It depends how we do this season. I wouldn't accept low down the table in a cup. It's not
even the Europa League.
Kate, look, at the end of the day, you've got to. If you win a cup, it is progression, but you've got to look at progression. It is in the league. You need to get stable in the league. So I will take top 6 and a cup, and I think that's really good progression. You know, even though we finished 5th last season, finishing 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th for me is not good.
I agree with that. I think like I can't finish. I can't see us. I mean, I can't accept us finishing lower than 6th this season. I really can't. And if we do finish 6th or 5th and don't get that top 4 spot and don't win a trophy, then that's obviously a terrible season for me. So I would only accept finishing 6th as well if we do go and win the Europa League or the FA Cup or a trophy like that.
5th is CL.
If 5th is CL, I mean, I said 6th. I won't take finishing 6th.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think we all want progression, don't we? And obviously, context of the season matters. If we're finishing 6th or 7th, but we're getting to Europa League final and FA Cup final, maybe winning one of them, then maybe you can accept it, especially Europa League. But if we're and as well, maybe if you see in the Premier League that we're losing games, I guess we have been this season already. But I think context does matter. But if we're out of all the cups early, and we maybe get to a Europa League quarter final, but that's the furthest we get, and we're obviously struggling in the league, then big questions have to be asked of Ange 100%. Because whatever people want to say about a lot of the team we have and all that, the reality is I think Ange has had a big say and I think he has picked a lot of these players. I think Brennan he's picked. I think Werner he's decided to re-sign. I think these are a lot of his players, and he's got to take a lot of the brunt of it, in my opinion. If things go badly, I don't think. Yes, we can point to other teams maybe having better players in certain positions, but we've spent quite a bit of money. He's had a lot of money to spend, and he's chosen a lot of these players. So I don't know what Ange can really complain about himself. Yes, as a Tottenham fan, you can if you want, you can complain about the squad we have, and you think this player's rubbish, that player's rubbish. But for your Ange, I don't see how much complaining he's got, because I think he's had a lot of money to spend.
Nah, I don't think you can complain if you're Ange. I think you're 100% right. I think Daniel Levy has taken a step back from deciding, the transfer targets. It's all in the hands of Lange and Ange, and it's on them now if these players don't work out. I mean, I've sat here and criticised Levy time and time again about the transfer policy, about Super League, and about all this kind of stuff. But if you're sitting here now in this project, I don't think Levy has too much of a say of the players that comes in. I think he just signs the checks and moves on. So I think, me personally, it is on Lange and Ange, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Daniel Levy as well. But look, let's move on. Let's talk about the next topic. Before we get into that, we've got a super chat from Brian Kim. Big up to the soul of Soul. He says, terrible midfield and Crystal Palace better than us physically. Ange had to change the vibe after the first half. Do you agree that changes were needed at half time? Start with you, Jimbo.
Yes, 100%. That's the one thing that I will criticise Ange on sometimes is I think that his subs are sometimes too late and the wrong subs. He has got it right a few times, as we saw when he changed Maddison for Sarr and against West Ham, and we really kicked on. But look, I don't know what was going through his head the other day when he made the subs, and but. Look, who am I to question Ange? I've been a manager for 28 years. I'm just some guy sitting on the panel. So he must have had his reasons, but I couldn't get my head round. I thought Maddison wasn't doing too bad. He was trying to create, and he took Maddison off. And Kulu can all of a sudden just change a game, and he took Kulu off, which really surprised me. But that is questionable. His subs sometimes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I got the thinking behind Kulusevski because I thought he was about to get sent off. I thought he was making some rash challenges. I think he made 4 fouls in the game and he got sent off. He got booked for that push on, can't remember who it was. And I thought he was about to get sent off if he wasn't going to get taken off. And I just didn't understand the Maddison one because it just got rid of all that creativity that we could have had going into the last stage of the game. But it is what it is, that game. I think we just need to put it in the past. But I want to talk to you guys about the midfield because we take off Maddison at half time against West Ham. And obviously what happened in that second half happened. We absolutely battered West Ham and it looked a lot more kind of balanced in the midfield with Pape Matar there. Fast forward to the game against Crystal Palace. Maddison is back in that midfield. I'm not sure if the balance was lost or something. But Kate, do you feel like Ange has lost the balance in midfield at the moment?
Look, I'm not Maddison's biggest fan. I was debating recently about whether he's been a flop at the club, but I know that his stats are very good. But I just don't know if Maddison and Kulu work that well together, because Maddison drifts to the left, Kulu drifts to the right. I don't know. I'm not convinced that they work together all the time. I think the balance is playing. I do think it's one or the other for me. And because Kulu's probably been our most influential player this season, he's the one that's getting chosen, which is rightly so. I think he's been brilliant. I'm not convinced that Ange likes Madders that much. He hasn't played a full 90 minutes all season, which is a little bit concerning, I would say, if you're James Maddison. But I think we're quite lucky in midfield. We've got some good midfielders there. Obviously we've got Maddison, Kulu, we've got Bentancur, we've got Sarr, Bergvall. So we're quite blessed. But I just don't think Kulu and Madders bring out the best in one another, and I don't think for certain games they're the right choice. Like for Man City, I would not play those two together at all. I think they need to be. You need to have more of a. I think it'd be. If I was the manager, I would pick Sarr, Benny, and probably Kulu for that match. so that it's more, you've got the legs of Sarr. I mean, we all know he's an absolute engine. He covers every blade of grass. Bentancur has been excellent this season. I don't know what's happening with his ban, but I'd be using him as much as possible in case he does get banned. And then you've got the creativity of Kulu. Like I say, he's so fluid as well. He runs into so many different positions. I think defenders really do struggle to sort of mark him. So that would be my choice. I'm just not convinced that Madders and Kulu work together. And I think Ange's preference is with Kulusevski if he was given the choice. So, as I say, that's not great news for Maddison, but I'm not his biggest fan. Although when he plays well, like the first 10 games of the season, he was excellent. I just don't think he's got back there.
I did feel like for a while at the start of the season that they were working very well together, and I think their link-up play together, they're definitely on the same page, in my opinion. But that second half against West Ham, you did see a lot more balance in that midfield, and we did go and absolutely tear West Ham a new one. I mean, where are you at with it, Jimbo? Do you feel like they can work together? Do you want to see Sarr maybe implemented instead of a Maddison?
Yeah, I think there's certain games that it will work, and there's certain games it won't work. But I think I agree with Kate with the Man City game. I'd have Sarr in there because he's going to work hard. But I did notice on the Crystal Palace game, Madders was coming back a lot and defending a lot more. So I think that he's probably had a word with him. But I just think it depends on the games. Ben, I think that I think the Crystal Palace game, I think our players were a bit shocked at how they come out, how Palace come out, and I think that what he should have done, Ange, is he should have changed it quicker. And brought Sarr in because of the legs, him chasing it down. But look, I just think different games, it'd be different midfielders will work together. But that's up to Ange to work out. But some games definitely, I'm like you, what you said. The beginning of the season, I thought they really worked well together, but it's kind of died off a bit. So I don't know if it's because of the teams we're playing, but that's for Ange to work out.
Sim, do you feel like to have Kulu and Maddison in the team regularly, week in, week out, you need like a much better six behind them, or do you think we've got enough, to let them strut their stuff?
I think for most games, you should be okay, to be honest. I think there will be a lot of games where Basuma and Bentancur, I think I might even prefer Bentancur when it's Maddison and Decky in a way, and maybe when you bring Sarr in, you have Basuma there, because I think that Bentancur has a bit more discipline in that position, and he'll just stay there and he'll cover that space a lot better when he's got Maddison, Decky there, whereas Basuma is not as disciplined. But then when Sarr comes in, I think Basuma just offers you that bit more flexibility on the ball, and I think he can offer that bit more drive.
They work well together, don't they, as well?
And Sarr as well. So maybe that's the way I'd play it. In terms of Spurs losing their balance, I mean, look, I said in the preview I wanted to see Sarr in this game, but I think it's more to do with the characteristics of this game than it was to do with the dynamic of Sarr and Maddison together, because I think they actually work really well together, and they do unlock a different dynamic to the team when we are playing against teams who we know we can dominate and know we can keep the ball and play through. But against a team like Palace, playing a back three, two defensive mids, and then you got two players like Eze and Sarr and two wing backs, you're gonna need big legs in that team to contain them, because there's those switches of player constantly on. You've got Eze in those pockets of spaces. You're gonna have to make sure that because those switches are constantly on, that means there's always going to be a lot of space for someone like Eze to operate in, unless you've got someone on him and making sure he's not getting too much on the ball. He can really run the game, and that's exactly what he did. So I think it was probably a mistake not to play a Sarr probably in this game, or maybe even a Bentancur in this game with either one of Maddison or Decky, and I think we probably paid them. Either you do that, or maybe you can play them both somehow, but you match Palace up and play a back three. Anyway, against Brighton, it was working brilliantly until it wasn't, and then all of a sudden we were getting overrun. And again, we should have probably brought Sarr on earlier. But first half people weren't saying that. We were carving Brighton open for fun, and we were 2-0 up, could have been more. And I thought Maddison and Decky were having great games. And then as soon as we were under pressure, they didn't have the legs to cope with it, and that's something that we got to say. So I think clearly we are much more open, I would say, when they are both on the pitch. That's definitely true. But as well, when teams are sitting back, we need that ingenuity. We need those two players working together in tandem to attack teams. So it's a difficult one. It's a fine balance to kind of strike. And I think Jimbo's obviously spot on. I think it's definitely going to be game dependent on when we use those two together. I do think more often than not, I would like to see them together. Right? I think if we can get them together, I would. But I think games like on Sunday against Palace, I think that game was probably calling for more legs just because of the way Palace play. Yeah. And I think that's what was needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. And when you look at the second half against West Ham, I mean, we talk about our attacking threat maybe being diminished a little bit when Kulu and Maddison aren't together. But, you know, Sarr came in and we scored 3 goals straight in the opening, 20 minutes. It's not like we can't hold a big attacking threat.
Yeah, but that was because we'd already broken the deadlock in the first half. If it was still 1-0, would we have done that? I don't know. Because look at the 3 goals we got. The second goal, to be fair, was a good build-up goal. But the 2 goals we got were from fast transitions and counter-attacks because our Sam had conceded and they had to open up a bit and we hit them quickly. And that was actually quite perfect for having Sarr there. But when they were sitting deep, I thought Maddison actually had a good game. The only problem was, when they have players like Kudus there and Bowen, they were hitting us on the counter and we just needed to stop that from happening. But yeah, you're right. We brought Maddison off and we brought Sarr on. We scored 3 goals in 15 minutes. I'm not saying we can't attack at all with Sarr on the pitch. I'm just saying when teams are sitting in a low block, I think we're better off with those two than with just Sarr.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Look, let's finish off talking about the game tomorrow night and about what team we want to see. A bit of team news that's just breaking that I want to bring to you guys is Wilson Odobert has suffered a serious setback, apparently, as Ange Postecoglou has said. Not sure how long he's going to be out for, but Ange says it's a serious one. So
it looks a serious one. Yeah.
I imagine he's going to be out for some time. Good news is that Jed Spence is back in training and could be in contention to play. But he has said on Sonny he's almost fit, but we're probably going to be aiming for the weekend and not tomorrow. So no Sonny, no Odobert. I can't really see Mikey Moore playing 3 games in the space of a week.
You know what that means?
So it's Timo time, it looks like. It looks like it's going to be Timo time tomorrow night.
Unless you want to put Rishi on the left, I guess. But
yeah, but even Rishi I don't think looks 100% fit just yet.
No, he doesn't.
So I think it's going to have to be Timo. We'll start with you, Kate, though. Do you want to see Ange go full strength? And what does full strength look like?
I'd love to see Ange go full strength. I don't think he will, but I'd love to see it. I think he might give, I don't know about give him a rest. I think Romero possibly maybe left out and a Dragushin given a chance. I mean, Romero, he's just not been himself this season. There's, a lot of people saying his head's been turned by Real Madrid. I don't know what it is, but he's been costly for us this season. I think Udogie needs a rest. So maybe we'll see Jed Spence start there. Midfield, I think Bentancur will start. I forgot about Basuma. There's me reading off our midfielders. I forgot completely about Basuma. And I think you're right. I think Timo will start. But I don't think that's a bad call against City. And I'll tell you why. Because they play quite a high line. He's quick with his runs. He's been putting in some really good crosses of late. I'm not a Timo fan at all. I'd quite happily see the back of him. However, we've got him for now, and if we've got to use him, we've got to use him. He looks a broken man. If I was Ange, I'd say to him, look, just try and cross the ball in. Don't take any chances. Don't shoot because you can't score. So just cross the ball in the best you can and make those runs because, like I say, we haven't got a wealth of choice. I don't want to see Richie on the left. But Mikey Moore, I don't think, like you say, I don't think he'll be starting. So I think it will be Werner and then Solanke, and then I suppose Brennan, I would guess. Mm-hmm. So I want to see it, even if Man City put out their C team, they're fantastic. So we can't afford to make too many changes, in my opinion, if we're going to take this cup seriously, which we should, because we should take them all seriously. Yeah, but I think there will be a few changes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I was looking at the odds earlier today between Spurs and Man City. Spurs are favourites going into this. which surprised
Really?
me. Slightly favourites, which
Go on, Jim.
surprised me big time.
By far the greatest team the world has ever seen.
Yeah,
They must be looking at the record we have at home against City over the past 5 years and gone on that. But the one for me is Sonny. Sonny not being ready for this game is a bit of a kick in the teeth for me, because I was really expecting and hoping to see him play, because he's the one that could really hurt that City high line. But Jimbo, where are you at with it? What lineup do you want to see? How strong do you want us to see us go?
well, I'm not surprised we're favourites, the mighty Spurs. Look, we can beat them. I don't care what team they put out. We can beat them. We proved that over the last few seasons. So I want to see a strong team. Of course I do, because it's a cup. You know, I think that Ange maybe learnt his lesson on that cup game against Fulham. But I want to see a strong team. And look, Timo has been putting the last couple of times he played, he's been putting some great crosses in. I mean, against Palace, he put some crosses in. They should have got on the end of them. But it's just his confidence in front of goal. So instead of giving him our time, let's get behind him and hope that he can turn it round. But I want to see a strong team. I don't know if he'll take Romero out. I'm not sure. But I think he does. It wouldn't do any harm to take him out and put Dragusin in. I think we will see Spence definitely, because he hasn't had any game time as he lately because of his injury. So I think we'll definitely start with Spence. But midfield, I think Sarr should definitely be in Kulu and Bentancur. I'm with Kate on that. I think start off with that. And the front line, Timo time. Maybe you get a hat trick. You never know.
Have you been on the sauce already? It's a bit early.
and Brennan, keep some faith in him. You know, I'll get behind him.
I think it's important for Timo. Obviously, we can critique him after the fact, but I think once the game is going on for that 90-minute period, we just need to support him through that game and hope that he can turn it around, and hope that he can put the ball in the back of the net at some point, hopefully tomorrow night. Sim, where are you at with it? How strong do you want to see us go?
Yeah, I think pretty strong. I do think there will be some changes, and I think some players will get a chance. Like you say, Spence. Obviously, I think Bentancur is going to come in.
Is that what you want to see?
Is that what I want to see? Look, we as you say, we got a massive game against Villa as well on Tuesday. And look, if Man City, depends. Obviously, Man City are gonna rest a lot of players. I'm trying to look at their lineup and trying to anticipate what kind of lineup we should expect in terms of their squad. Like, because Haaland's only striker, but is he going to play? Because who else? I don't know. If
Haaland's been playing every minute in the Champions League, in the league.
So they're going to give him a rest?
I think they're going to give him a rest. I don't know who they're going to play.
I'm trying to think.
He's not even in England at the minute.
He's in Ballon d'Or. He went to the Ballon d'Or.
No, he didn't. He went to see Malmo, didn't he?
Yeah, he went to see Malmo play. Yeah, because his best friend plays for him.
Back line. I mean, what kind of are we? Am I seeing that this first team squad? Are there just none of them going to play? Like O'Reilly, McAtee, I'm guessing, going to play in midfield.
I think O'Reilly's going to. Who the hell's O'Reilly?
I don't know, but he said he's going to play a second team.
He's Paddy's cousin.
Nico O'Reilly.
I mean, a second team would be like Matthias Nunes in the middle. Well, I guess he's been starting recently.
I know Doku's injured.
Well, I guess like Gundogan will start. He hasn't been starting recently.
Gundogan. What's the backline going to be? Is Stones going to play? Rico Lewis, I'm guessing, is going to play.
Well, Rico's been playing every game recently.
Ortega in goal. So is it just going to be academy players? Or
I think McAtee will play. I think he'll start.
I'm guessing like McAtee and O'Reilly will play. Foden, mate. Is Foden going to play?
Foden's Zarel. He started the last 2 games for them.
I mean, they've got a lot of injuries. Bob's injured, Rodri's injured, Grealish, De Bruyne, Doku. So they're a lot of their players who usually start are starting at the moment. So are they not going to start?
I mean, Pep said he doesn't want to put any energy into this competition. So he literally said that last week. So judging by the injuries that they do have, they're not playing that well in the league. Surely that they do put out a completely changed side, because they don't want to risk any more injuries going in to the league on an important game on the weekend.
And I think if they do that, I think we just need to put our side that can really bully their younger players and physically overwhelm them. They're going to put our really young side. And that means I want to see Bentancur there. I want to see Sarr there. Maybe just put them with Decky as well in the centre. Just really get a really strong free. Keep Solanke in the team. I think kind of Brennan has to play because we don't have any options. I would like to fit in Gray somehow, but if we're going to play Spencer left back, I think we need to play one of Porro or Udogie. So maybe, I think in general I'd like to play both, but Spencer isn't going to play this game. He's never going to play. So
would you consider starting both out?
I'll consider it, but I think I think I'd still put him on the bench because I think Sarr needs to start. I think Bentancur needs to start, and I want one of Maddison or Decky in there. So, unfortunately, as much as I want to give Bergvall more chances, I think this one it won't be. I think Romero, Van de Ven, I'm happy to keep them in there. If you want to play Dragoshin, I would probably drop Romero. I'd probably play him and Van de Ven, albeit. That means maybe the passing out the back won't be as good, but at least if it's not Haaland up front, I
don't want to see Dragoshin play this game.
If it's not Haaland up front, I'm confident they can just physically dominate that situation. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be Timo. Is what it is. I don't know who they're going to play at right back, but Timo's going to have to play, and we're just going to have to back him. That's just reality.
I want to see the Van de Ven and Romero play. Go on, Jimbo.
Well, we're on a hiding to nothing, really, because if we lose, if they put out a lesser team and we don't beat them, people can say you can't even beat their lesser team. If they put their lesser team out and we beat them, then people are going to just say, well, you've just beat their third team. So we're on a hiding to nothing anyway. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is beating them and going through, whoever they put out.
Jimbo, forget about what they say if we win the game, because we'll be through to the next round of the cup, and whatever anyone says won't mean anything. So that's the main thing. As long as we get through tomorrow night. Apparently, someone tells me in the comments in the press conference today, Pep says that he wants to win the game and he'll try hard to win. I don't know what that means, but I mean that's obvious, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm trying to look at what so I'm reading his team news. So Walker, Grealish, Doku, and De Bruyne. Bob and Rodri and all not there. He says it's demanding schedule with the boss, and that he won't take risks on players following the 1-0 win against Hampton. Guardiola hinted that some players could be available, but insisted the key focus on the squad coming through the clash unscathed. He said, we have a few players. We're going to try and do a good game and try to go through. Always it happens. Last season we went out against Newcastle, but playing really well. Perform well. This is what I want. No injuries, please. Go to the last week before the international break in November. So he definitely seems worried about injuries, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, they're mounting up for him, and I'm not surprised. And, they're not exactly playing the best football that they've played under Pep Guardiola, and with Arsenal and Liverpool on their tails. They need to keep everyone fit. So let's hope they play, never mind a C team, a D team tomorrow night. But yeah, if I go through what I want to see, I mean, it's not too dissimilar what you guys have said, Kate and Jimbo, but I want to see Vicario in goal. Porro right back, Spence left back, Romero, Van de Ven. I'll probably say Bentancur, Sarr, Kulusevski. Put Maddison on the bench. Maybe he can come on and change things if we need. Brennan on the right, Timo on the left, and Big Dom Solanke up top. So, I think let's go around the room before we end and just give a few score predictions, and then we'll call it there. But Kate, we'll start off with you. What's your score prediction?
Oh, I was feeling quite confident, because I was thinking this would be typically Spursy to lose to Palace and then go and beat Manchester City. But I'm a little bit gutted that Sonny's not available. Yeah. But I'm going to stick with it, because at the end of the day, we're fans and we're supposed to be deluded. So I am going to go Tottenham 2, Man City 1. And I'm going to have Dominic Solanke and I'm going to have Bentancur to score one as well.
Outside the box, like it. Jimbo?
Yes.
I'm going to go 4-1 to Spurs.
Whoa, come on, Jimbo. Come on.
The bookies are listening to this. That's like past favourites.
I think that...
shortening their odds as we speak.
I think we're going to get a reaction to the other day, and I really think that Postecoglou has been pushed into a corner with picking this team. I think if we'd have beat Palace, he might have gone with a lesser team, but he doesn't want to lose another one, straight away. So I think he's been pushed into a corner, and he's going to play a strong team, and I think they will play a lesser team, and I think we'll go out there and we'll perform, and we redeem ourselves. So I'm going to go 4-1.
4-1. You know what? The last time a 4-1 was predicted on this channel, it came through when Sim predicted 4-1 against West Ham when I laughed him out of the room at that stage, but it came through. So we'll leave Sim's prediction till last because he's actually been spot on with his predictions recently, apart from he did predict a win against Crystal Palace. But I'm going to go for a lot of goals. I'm going to go 3-2 to Spurs. I think we'll get over the line. I think Man City can hurt us even if they play a lesser team. But I think Spurs should be able to, with their first team out, physically dominate this City side a little bit. It's going to be a bit of a ding-dong battle, I think it's going to be a real classic cup tie tomorrow night under the lights at the Tottenham Stadium. So 3-2 to Spurs. Sim?
I think if Haaland's in the squad, I'm going to go for the game to go to penalties. And I think it'll be like 2-2. And Spurs will win on penalties.
Yeah, you don't really believe that.
Yeah, come on. Spurs are going to win on... Only if Vicario's in goal. Of course.
You don't back Fraser Forster penalty.
If Haaland's not in the squad, I think we can win. I think we can win, and I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1 to Spurs if Haaland's not in the squad.
All right, same as Kate.
Same
Great
as
minds
Kate.
think alike, I guess, eh?
Come on.
Sim,
yeah.
when has Haaland had a good game against us?
Well, he scored twice when they beat us 2-0 last game.
No, so that's the only. Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, but the difference is we wanted him to. That's the difference.
Oh yeah,
we always get the result we want against City. Put it that way.
When we drew 3-3 against them last season at the Etihad, I mean, he was shocking that game, wasn't he?
Yeah, the man.
Then
the game where Kane broke his Tottenham record, he was anonymous that game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember early in that season when we played. Oh, we beat them. Oh no, we lost 4-2. I think he scored that game. We lost 4-2 at the Etihad when we were 2-0 up, and we lost 4-2. So yeah, but I think usually he's not all that.
Yeah, but in that game, in the 3-0, he had so many chances, didn't he? Emerson was just playing him through on goal time and time again. And I mentioned Emerson because I can see Barry in the comments there, so just showing throwing a bit of shade on Emerson.
It was a bit like Aguero. Do you remember when he used to struggle to score against Tottenham as well? So let's hope, even if Haaland plays, he has an absolute nightmare. But can I just say one more thing? I know a lot of people are Ange out, and everyone's entitled to feel where they want, but it is only early days, and a lot of people are saying he's our worst manager for 17 years, whatever, blah blah blah. Everyone's got to remember that we had Kane for a lot of these managers' tenure, and the amount of times Kane got us out of trouble in games. If you'd have taken out Harry Kane, I bet you now Ange wouldn't be the worst manager statistically. So I think people have to take into context that we lost one of the, if not the best player we've ever had when they're judging Ange. And I think the whole Ange in, Ange out, whatever you want to call it, causes a lot of divide in the fan base. But just get behind the manager. I really, honestly, as an older fan, not as old as Jimbo, but an older fan, I don't see how we can just keep sacking managers and hoping that it works when we've got evidence it doesn't. So get behind the manager. I'm sure we can turn it around. And that was all I wanted to say, my little speech.
Good. I completely agree. I couldn't have said it better myself, but I think that does bring an end to the panel show. So I want to thank Kate and Jimbo from The Perfect Match. Thank you very much for coming on today. Do you want to let us know what's coming up on the channel over the next couple of days?
Yeah, of course. It used to be just The Girl Who Loves Spurs. Now it's The Perfect Match because Jimbo's always with me, and he was getting a bit paranoid being called The Girl Who Loves Spurs. So we've got a match preview tomorrow lunchtime. I don't know if we've got the pump up show tomorrow night, but
yes, please.
There you go. We've got the pump up show. The Perfect Match is on most lunchtimes from 12 o'clock, where we do all sorts. We do match previews, match recaps. We do Premier League previews with Chang and Nick. He's always on there on Mondays and Fridays. So it's You're not going to get the arguing and the screaming. We try and keep it as calm and light-hearted as we can because, you know, we're older. We can't deal with the stress. So we just go with the flow. So, yeah, please come over and sub to our channel.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, please do go and sub to The Perfect Match. The link is in the title if you want to head straight over there and hit that subscribe button. Brilliant Spurs content. And once again, thank you, Kate. Thank you, Jimbo, for coming on today. We're going back live in just under an hour to preview the Man City game tomorrow night. So come and join us there. But for now, like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.